It doesn't work. Turn it on! Where do I turn it on? At the side. Oh, here. Turn it on. Yes, it works. So, Wim Pijbes is the person on this picture on the left, standing next to the Queen at the opening of the Rijksmuseum, the main museum in the Netherlands, after more than 10 years of refurbishment. A grand opening, as you see. It didn't burn down, this was just fireworks. It's the man who is responsible for the vast audiences that came to the Rijksmuseum, more than anyone expected, even him, who all wanted to see, of course, our most important painting, The Night Watch. And he was the audience were from all strands of life, including Obama, who paid a visit to the Netherlands and wanted to see the Night Watch. And his presence was noticed by the New York Times opening with this picture. So, who is Wim Pijbes? Wim, welcome here in our midst. I have some questions prepared for Wim to discuss, but this is an open session. So there are mics. Where are the mics? Mics are coming. Oh, they are there in the back. So anyone who wants to pose a question, I'll give you space for that. Wim, we want to know what is so interesting about you for us. And one of the aspects that is interesting is how you look at audiences. You have a different approach to audiences. And I have a picture of that just to illustrate this. What do we see here?
What we see here is a very special program run by a foundation that's called the Last Wish Ambulance. And it is for people in the last weeks or sometimes days of their lives, and they can apply to do one more last thing in their life, and that is to see this, to go to the sea, or to go to a football match, or well, anything. And to our surprise, many people. We have about 10 or so per week. After openings hours, people just want to go to see the museum, the Night Watch or Rembrandt's The Syndics, as on this picture, and it's a very moving way of how to say, of dealing with an audience, which is of course not a target group or something else. They just apply, and they are, as you see on this gentleman by this bed, it's very intense to bring these people up with an ambulance and 2 or 3 people to help them, and I think it's our responsibility to do this, and
But does it stand for, let's say,
so we are for everybody.
Yeah, does it stand for the broad interest that the audience have from all strands of life for this museum?
We are the Museum of the Netherlands. That means that we have, with the 2.4 million visitors on a yearly base, we have we have an enormous audience. Let's say 50% is Dutch and the other 50% is foreign. And within that 50% Dutch, we have about 400,000 kids, school kids. It's a very broad audience. I mean, we almost attract everybody.
And is that something that amazed you, or is that something that you marketed for?
Since the reopening, the museum really is for everybody. It's not a tourist trap. Though we have a lot of tourists, and they're more than welcome, but we're also for the Dutch people, and we are also for school kids, and we're also for people in the last stages of their life. So in fact, we are indeed for everybody. It's as I remember once I read an advertisement by the Tate that they were looking for new staff members, and you know that the public institutions normally have to have this line. People can apply, women, male, blah blah blah, the whole sentences of everything. But Tate mentioned the same thing, but they did it on their own way and very appealing to me. Our jobs are like our galleries, open to all. Well, that's it.
Great, great, thank you. And how does this work if you look in your presentation? There's here a picture of, well, something like a post-it on the wall.
It is a post-it.
It is a post-it.
But a very big
What do we
one.
see here?
What we see here is a gentleman looking at a post-it, extra large, yellow, temporary. Well, temporary in the case of 3 months in this example. We asked Alain de Botton, the philosopher, to write text labels next to the normal, so to say, text labels, and he sticked these post-it labels next to the paintings, and his texts were his ideas about what you really saw on the paintings. So no art historical phrases on Renaissance or Repouche or oil on that or anything. The man in front of that painting is looking at the painting, and what does he see? He does not look at the painting. He looks at other people from the 17th century, and he has his idea or his questions or whatever. And the text by Alain de Botton was exactly helping him defining, well, maybe the right questions or even the right answers. And this, it was a complete new approach of communicating with your audience. And it was, strange enough, very, very successful. There was also very strong criticism, because this is not normally the way you do it. People found it ugly. People found it banal or vulgar or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the audience really loved it. And yeah, I think it is a good experiment to find a new engagement with your audience. And the key word in this, it all has to do with ownership. Neil McGregor once said, the director of the British Museum, the British Museum is everybody's private collection. And that's a very, nice, very good one. Yeah. And in the same way, I think that the collection of the National Museum of the Netherlands, of the Rijksmuseum, the Rijksmuseum's collection is everybody's private collection. So, but that's not enough. You have to, not only by saying that, but you also have to communicate that. And it's of course difficult to communicate 17th century paintings to a 21st century audience, because you don't have the clue, or you don't have the right knowledge, or you don't, you don't know what you see. And so therefore it's very important for a curator or for a writer or for a museum director to help your audience in understanding what they see. And they are coming, they're buying a ticket, they have time to come to the museum, so they are willing to learn or to find something. And yeah, the only thing we have to do is to help them finding their needs. And
communicating via text is one thing, but communicating via television is another. Here we have a picture to explain to you who are not Dutch, of Wim present in one of the daily television shows that is watched by everybody at 7 o'clock. And you are a regular visitor there, explaining what is happening in art or in the world. You also are on Sunday on the program, which is more like a political debate program on Sunday, asked to read the international papers and give comments on what is happening in the world. How does this fit into the job of being a director of a museum?
I think that museums are part of society, and museums are not something that is besides what's going on in the daily normal world. I mean, of course, museums are places where things can be enjoyed and seen and taken that are different than daily life, of course. But at the same time, it's not isolated from the world we live in. They are part of it. So I think that's important for museums to respond and to breathe and to go and to mix and to connect with the world that we live in. And if you agree with that, I think it's okay and it's good and it's even necessary to be part of what people enjoy when they watch television. And then it's good that I think that a museum director can respond on things that happen in real life. Museums, of course, are also real life, but it's good that the museum director can respond on what's going on in the world. And therefore, yeah, museums are more than showcases for beauty and history and whatever. They're also breathing and living elements of society. So therefore, they should be open to what's going on in the world. And well, the curator or the museum director is the. I mean, I cannot ask Rembrandt to go to a television show and to respond.
What a pity.
What a pity, indeed.
How would he react?
But I don't know. But I think it's good to have artists or museum people or art people from the art world to respond on what's going on in the world. Why not?
Why not? Why not? Audience, questions, reactions. Yes, there's one question over there.
Cristina
Please.
Vannini.
Yes.
Cristina
Stand and
Vannini, European
introduce
Museum Forum. First of all, I want to congratulate because your museum was the winner of the last European Museum of the Year award, and so we are very, very, very proud of it. The question is, how do you organize your staff? Because I think that for creating a complex and efficient cultural offer, you've got to work very close also with other members of your staff, because I think that the life of a director as you act is very complicated. And so do you have, how is composed your staff, and how many times do you confront with them?
And may I add to that question the fact that you are very present in the outside world, and how does this work also in this communication with the staff?
It's a simple question, though it's at the same time very complicated, and we don't have that much time to discuss it in detail. But we have a board of directors with 3 directors: director of collections, director for finance and operating, and the 3 of us are the board of directors, and we meet weekly, always. So that's good. And every director has a group of staff members. The director of collections, of course, has the curator. The director of operations and business has the facilities and the finance and these kind of things. And I myself are responsible for for exhibitions, for communication, for development, for exhibitions. So more the outgoing elements of the museum. And yeah, that's more or less very rough how it works. So we have 3 columns. And they, yeah, and that's how we work.
And the ideas, who provides the ideas?
Who provides the ideas is the question.
Which idea? I mean, you have ideas in terms of finance, or you have ideas in terms of education, or exhibitions or acquisitions. Well, acquisition ideas come from the curators and collection departments. Exhibitions and communication and imagery and what to do, yes or no, on social media, that is communication, so that's what I'm responsible for. And the finance and business operation kind of activities and ideas, well, they come from that section. But since I'm the general director, I am a kind of free thinker, and I have the possibility to have ideas, good or bad, in all the categories, like the other 2 directors, by the way.
Congratulations for your ideas.
Okay, thank you. But coming
Okay.
to your question, Siba,
Yeah.
indeed, it's a very prominent building in the center of the city of Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
next to the city of Amsterdam. It's the largest building in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands when it was built, 1885. So it's very prominent.
Mhm.
Everybody in Holland knows the building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has a what I say it's a fortress.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of ministry of good taste. It's
Is that good?
no, that's not good. And for several reasons, I don't like. Well, I like the building in a way, but at the same time, I dislike the building because it's a very closed and very monumental, impressive brickstone neo-Gothic Harry Potter, Zweinstein thing. Um,
So how do you deal with that? I mean, it's just a given fact.
Yeah, what we did. Well, you know the building, and who of you have been to the Rijksmuseum so far? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's a
Okay,
good
okay, okay.
score.
Well, then you might have noticed that before entering the museum, you see the gardens. And what we did during the renovation is that we took the gardens as a very lively element of the museum, and we included them to the museum. So the question here is, where does the museum start? Does it start at the front door? Does it start after you bought the ticket? Or does the museum visit start in front of the first painting you see? My idea is that if you go to the Rijksmuseum, it should be the best and the highest experience of your holiday or your summer or whatever, or your whole life. So with that in mind, it is for, I come from the theater world, from the performing arts. It is good to stretch that whole moment of experience when going to the museum. So you have to take that moment naar voren, ahead.
It's like a script.
Yeah, it's a script. And where I have two good examples to show that. If you go to the Louvre by metro, and you get out at the station de Louvre, you are in this semi-museum Louvre station. And for some reason, you think that you are already in the Louvre, and it lifts you. It gives you a good feeling. So what they did in Paris is to bring the front door of the museum immediately at the metro station. So that's good. So you get out of the train and you are in the museum. You're not, but you feel that you are in the museum. Another example is St. Peter's Place in Rome, where you have this Bernini colonnade, the big colonnade.
Yeah.
That if you are on St. Peter's Square, you think you are in St. Peter. You're not. You have to walk for hundreds and hundreds of meters, but you are in what they call the arms of Jesus, and there's no way back. So you really have to do that pilgrimage to go to the church and to see the altar and to experience the church itself. And that's exactly the same what we did here. Well, you can't see it on these pictures, but we took the front door to the outdoor into the city. So as soon as you enter and see the building, you are in the arms of the Rijksmuseum, and I think that's a good thing. And we opened
Rembrandt in this case.
the arms of Rembrandt. So we opened the museum. The museum is more than bricks and mortar. It's more than that building. You are already, if you see this, you are in the museum, and that's what we try to do. And I think that
how you describe it, I'm already in the museum.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Virgil.
Yes. Do you still make efforts to attract corporate business, or the museum does sell itself?
No, of course we attract business because we like money, and that's we like sponsors, we like friends, we like people who buy tickets, and it gives us all the opportunity, the possibility to fulfill our ambition and to do what we want to do. And we have many things that we would like to fulfill. So we need a lot of money. So everybody who brings in money, good money then, I mean not all kind of phony sponsors or whatever, but if corporate sponsors come along and they have good plans and they want to support us, they're more than welcome, yes.
That could be because you are also in a fierce competition. Because let me take you to the global playing field where you're part of. Here we have some pictures of new buildings being erected for museums outside the European continent.
Yeah.
And they're growing in a rapid force. We see the Middle East, we see Rio de Janeiro, we see China. How do you respond to that? The fact that new buildings, I mean, you did an effort in what we can say was before the crisis a golden decade in the Netherlands, and I think in Europe, where everybody was investing, a decade that maybe is long due. While around us, the number Michel Magnier quoted from ICOM, that the number of museums has exploded. Well, not only in Europe, but mostly outside. How do you respond to that?
Well, if you see these pictures, you see empty buildings. And, but at the same time, you have to realize that museums are, what I said earlier, museums are part of society, and money is a strong driving force in society. And yeah, art goes where money flows. I mean, that's the old saying. So, and money flows now in the Middle East and China and Mexico and all kind of new countries where they are building like hell new museums in enormous amounts of buildings like that. But talking about, and that's a kind of new value, that's a new driver. So build museums and then the rest will come, like Japan did in the 80s.
Okay.
But at the same time, a museum also has old values, and these old values are still have to do with heritage, with history, and of course with collection. And I think seeing these projects, the weak point of these buildings are the lack of collections. I mean,
okay, then I have another slide for you.
Well, the Rijksmuseum started in 1795, and the collection is older than the building. So people don't come to the building; they come to see Night Watch Rembrandts. And even if you hang the Night Watch here, this will be a blockbuster building. So that's.
But looking at these pictures now, we're talking about the continent of Europe. We're talking about good collections, but private museums, private collectors that start their own museums.
I'm not sure if their collections are so good yet.
Thank you. But if we continue on this,
but at the same time,
I'll take questions later.
Yeah.
Just a second.
I mean,
if we continue on this pace,
yeah, the collections. I was at the opening of Louis Vuitton in Paris.
This is Louis Vuitton on the downside.
Yeah.
On the right up is Garage in Moscow, and we have Punta de la
Dogana.
Help me, de la Gonda from Pinot. Venice.
Yeah, so young collections, except for the Venice example, new buildings, and yeah, it's fun, it's good, it's nice, but yeah.
This is not your league. That's what you're saying.
Well, I'm not against these initiatives, but I think that what will happen if Mr. Arnault or Mrs. Abramovich or one of these of Eli Broad in LA who just opened the new museum. What will happen if these people stop collecting and within 10 years? So, and museums are very slow-moving institutions with a long heritage, and these are more a kind of how to say that? It's
fast movers.
Fast movers, not
fast
one
coming, fast going.
No, maybe not one-hit wonders or so, but they are more. They have not a sustainable quality that the large museums, even the large museums in the contemporary world, like Tate Modern or the MoMA have. I mean, they have more gravitas, and they have more curators, more power, and this is indeed this is another type of museum, and it has his own his own value to exist, of course. But I don't see them as competing with us or competing with Tate Modern or competing with anything else. They are a category in itself, and well, it's okay.
Questions?
Yes,
Here.
Margherita Sani, Institute of Cultural Heritage in Italy and NEMO Board. You mentioned you have a background in the performing arts. So the first question, easy one, what is your background? And the other one is, what do you think the indispensable competencies or qualities of a museum director of a big museum with an important historical collection are to face all the challenges that we have been discussing today, be it inclusion or social role or whatever?
To start with the last question, on what a museum director, well, talking about myself, I think that I don't say a museum director should be that and that and that. I mean, every institution is different. So, but I think that for the Rijksmuseum, a museum director should have art historical knowledge, but should also have a sense for marketing and the time we live in, and that has to do with what the society demands at this moment. A museum, what I said, has old values, but also should address new values. And since museums are part of the hospitality industry, whether you like it or not, the Rijksmuseum is part of the hospitality industry. It's a fact. So that means that next to the old values, heritage, history, education, collection, all these old values are important, but at the same time, I have to take care of gastronomy, of design, hospitality, and all these other elements of what a museum should be. If I am okay with hospitality, but not on the collection, or vice versa, then a visitor will have is just a dissatisfier. And the demands of an audience, because we travel more, and we like to have a good service and good quality, and we want it all at the same time. So a museum is not anymore a building where high-level art is enough to satisfy all the demands of an audience. If you act well, and all the great museums in the world who are doing well, they have a high score on gastronomy, on design, on hospitality, on collection, on building, etc., etc., etc. So next to these old values, you see some new values, and they are written and accepted by the audience on the same kind of level. And in Italy, for instance, with the big change that happened now in the Italian museums, you see that the content and the history and the collection is perfect, but the buildings, the hospitality, the gastronomy, there's
even Italy.
Outside the museum. Yeah. I agree immediately, but and you see that in Italy on these new values, digital, there's room for improvement.
Okay, clear answer. Oh yeah,
my personal background. Well, I'm an art historian, and I started my career in the culture in cultural activities in the performing arts. But I work in the museum world since the mid-80s.
You were a light technician, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a light designer. Yeah.
Well, hence the museum. Another question there in the back.
Hi, I'm Aileen Strachan from Glasgow Museums. Hiya.
Stand up, please. Hello. Stand up, please. That we can see each other. Yeah.
Your digital offer and digital approach is incredibly open and responsive and playful. And I wondered to what extent you think you have been able to take either specific ideas generated through that or those values into the museum itself?
Before we answer this question, you can think about it. Maybe not everybody knows how the digital performance of the Rijksmuseum is. We have some slides about that. Can we keep this question for later on when we are there? Okay. Another question maybe on what was happening
Hello,
now in the debate.
Maria Vlacho, Access Culture, Portugal.
Yes.
Since you have decided to bring concrete examples, and I think
Yeah.
that's great, I think
Yeah.
we should be also a bit more concrete in our comments about some of
Yes,
that
you may.
museums.
Yes, you may.
So I think we should be a bit more fair. So in
Yes.
the previous slide, on the top right, the
Yes.
museum you showed is the Museum of Tomorrow in Brazil. It is a Brazilian initiative in Brazil. It's not the same as Louvre in Abu Dhabi. And because I believe that a museum is a person, it's very interesting, before the museum's opening, how they're presenting themselves already, how they're talking about who they're going to be, what is their personality and what's their identity. So I think it's a project we should follow.
Thank you very much for this correction. There's hope in these pictures, yes. Okay, let's move on about talking about money and about rich collections, or maybe not so rich collections, in particular in the hands of private owners. Who knows these pictures? Hands up, please. Not much. Who has heard that there has been a big buy by the Rijksmuseum and the Louvre together? Oh, this is news. We're telling news. Okay, Wim, what are we looking at here?
Well, it's not a surprise that most of you don't know these pictures. These are the best and the longest hidden treasures by Rembrandt. Have been made in 1634 and have been shown in public only once in 1956, and have been in private hands forever. The present owner is the French family de Rothschild, but the French Rothschild, and they were for sale. They came for sale in spring this year for the price of 160 million euros, 160, for the both of them. It's a couple, and the funny thing is that's almost the real size, so they're 2 meters 30, like that. And well, I don't explain too much on the paintings, but 160 million euros, and to
Good price?
good price, fair
Okay.
price.
Yeah. What's your purchase budget yearly?
3 million.
3 million.
Yeah.
So, explain to us.
What we did,
Virgil was asking, how do you get your money?
yeah. Well, in Holland there is a tax. We designed a tax scheme that has to do with inheritance tax. Well, it's quite a technical story, but
It's quite technical, but in the end, you were actually aiming to get 160 million euros at the table?
No, we had different moments. First we said, when they came on the market, we want to buy them. But I only have 3 million.
Yeah, go on.
But the Rothschild did not know. So anyway, we said we want to buy, so we want an option. Okay, so far so good. And from that moment on, we started fundraising on different levels, on different varieties. And one of the varieties, one of the possibilities that we explored was to buy it together with the Louvre. But the Louvre also had no money. I mean, not enough to buy this. But at the end of the day, last September, we were successful, both in France and the Netherlands, that the French government, they paid 80 million, and the Dutch government paid 80 million, and that's together is 160 million. And it's unprecedented acquisition, never done before for this amount, and never been done before by 2 countries. And I think, of course, we have to share them now with the Louvre. They go once in a while they go to Paris, and once in a while they go to Amsterdam. So we share them, and they travel every few years. They go, well, up, like that.
Traveling couple.
It's as a traveling couple. No, on
It's,
the road,
KLM
on the
Air
road,
France,
on the
yes,
on the road. Just easy. Paris, Amsterdam is not that far. So. Yeah,
But
it's a precedent for the amount of money, but it's also a precedent that 2 countries buy the paintings, and I think that could be a new model for, well, let's say European heritage or whatever. I mean, Rembrandt is world heritage, and of course they are, I think, very good and appropriate to hang in Amsterdam in the Rijksmuseum next to the other Rembrandts, but at the same time it's very good to have them in the Louvre, the best visited museum in the world,
Right.
in the context of the Louvre.
But the big question, of course,
Yeah.
is this the new way of working? That public funds are used to buy these private-owned treasures
In this case,
to keep yourself into the competition and into the position you have. I mean, this is another ball game.
In this case, yes. This is the last. These two are the last Rembrandts in this category on sale in the world at all. Now it's sold out.
Okay,
so
that's a comfort thought.
That makes it easy. So there's no second chance to buy another set. So this is the last.
No, this is a story about Rembrandt, but how about other great works of art owned by private owners?
Yeah, but we're talking about these Rembrandts, and these Rembrandts are to me national treasures of the highest rank, and therefore the price is extreme, but also is extreme the measurements that we had to take by our national governments and in France and in the Netherlands. So I think it's well done, and I'm very happy with it. I mean, the alternative was that they were going to Abu Dhabi or to China or to Mr. Slim in Mexico or whatever. And I mean,
that they would be here.
They would be there, which is also good. I mean, I think it's okay to have Rembrandt in China as well. But but these two, I think they are better off in Europe.
Okay. Questions?
Yes, I am Esther Fabriek and I'm
Stand up, please.
From Holland.
Yeah.
Hello. A lot of museums in Europe exchange often artwork or other cultural objects from each other, from other member states. This is often very expensive and sometimes difficult. Do you think, because of the European Commission has the policy to make culture more available to all inhabitants of Europe, do you think they could play a role in making it easier, make collection mobility more easy in Europe? And do you think even NEMO could play a role in this?
Yeah, I have an easy suggestion, because I like easy solutions. I would stop immediately all the European subsidies in the field of museums. Stop it.
No Creative Europe program.
Stop it immediately. Yeah. Instead of that, start a good indemnity scheme for moving European collections. And this whole program has already been published, titled Lending for Europe, which was indeed a great initiative. So I would say it's an easy program. Make it work. Make it simple, make it lean, and I think that's much better than these very, very complicated application routes for projects. I think this incredible to do.
This is asking a reaction of Michel Marget, if he wants to. If not, that's okay too. Mike over there, please. Who is running the Creative Europe program, by the way, Wim?
Sorry, I'm recovering slowly from what you just said. No, it's a joke, it's a joke. Well, I mean, this is not something we've considered, honestly, because we thought that it had nothing to do with our role. I mean, we believe that what you are describing is something between two museums. I'm not aware of any real political or legal barriers for instance, the Rijksmuseum sending a picture to the Louvre. I mean, it's just a question of the cost of insurance, the things like that. I'm not an expert.
I think that's the whole issue.
That's the whole
raised
issue.
Here. Yeah.
Whether we can be of any assistance here, I have my doubts, honestly. But I recognize that it would be helpful to find some more flexible ways of presenting collections. By the way, if I may take the opportunity of this microphone, may I ask a question about these two pictures? I mean, they're very beautiful, but from a visitor point of view, what difference does it make to see, I don't know how many Rembrandts you have in the Rijksmuseum or how many Rembrandts they have in the Louvre?
20.
What's the added value here?
Is it really worth spending so much money to get two more Rembrandts? Isn't it?
Clear question.
Yes.
Clear question. Okay. Thank you. Wim.
The answer is yes.
No, true.
No, and the answer is
why?
very easy, because you never have enough good Rembrandts. No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Why is that then?
Because it enriches your life. It gives you a better view on what Rembrandt is. It gives you a better sense of time, how Amsterdam was working in the 17th century. And these two paintings, they really fill a gap in something that we don't have in a European museum. These are burgers, citizens, portrayed as kings and queens. And this is for the first time that not noblemen were portrayed as important people. And this is really revolutionary, what you see here. You don't, I mean, I have to tell them the whole story, which I don't, but this, I mean, we used to see these portraits, but this is the first time ever that it happens like this.
Clear. One last question this round.
Sandro De Bono from Heritage Malta. We'd be delighted to host one of your Rembrandts through State Indemnity. We'd be very much delighted. In 2018.
It's that easy.
I tried my luck, so...
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Yes.
One question, which concerns your educational role. I mean, this conference is about education, and as a value, education is historic for the Rijksmuseum. How do you see your role as an educational institution and also as a world museum, because you're there? I mean,
yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. We have a whole variety of educational programs, and one program is very easy to have every child before they get 12 years to get them to see the Night Watch. It's easy. So there are about 200,000 kids born every year in the Netherlands. So the only thing that we have to do is to have that program rolling and to get every child sooner or later before he or she gets 12 to see the Night Watch. Now, that's an easy concept, takes a lot of money, but we do that. At the same time, we have what we call the Tekenschool, the drawing school, where we very much promote a program to let children do things by themselves. Not technically, but very easy, very slow art, so to say, and just by learning to draw with a pencil and a piece of paper. Last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, for the first time, we forbid, with a smile, we forbid making photographs in the museum. And we were giving every visitor a sketchbook and a potlood. What is that?
Pencil.
A pencil.
Yeah.
And we gave about 11,000 of these. And everybody in the museum was making drawings, because everybody can draw, good or bad. It's not so important, but everybody can draw. So this is a very easy way of educating, because if you draw, you use your brain, your eyes, your hand. And so we gave very easy instructions just to look better and not to have this selfie or that, but to draw, to watch, to look. And the longer you look, the more you see. That was the whole concept, and that was very successful. So we go on with that. It's called the Big Draw. It's in more museums in Europe. And I think this is very easy and also very clever to do so. So we have a whole educational program. Check the website.
Okay. We're going now to another question, another issue. We had a discussion today. There was a presentation by, sorry, I'm losing your name now, Maria, about the social consciousness of museums. And with pictures like these, or this one, where do museums stand, in your opinion?
Yeah, the museum is what I said, is an active player in society, but it can try to make it a better world, but it can't solve big problems like refugees or climate change or war or whatever. The only thing that we can do is to make people more aware of the world they live in. And I think if you succeed to do that, then you're maybe already halfway. But we can't solve this, no.
Okay, questions?
Okay, thank you. My name is Elizabeth. I prefer not, this is so stressful. So my name is Elizabeth and I'm from the Icelandic Museum Association. And I have, first I want to compliment you on the Night Watch. I think it's a great idea. But I want to know how you can justify to spend all this money on Rembrandt, and at the same time that there's some stress on museums to be more active in current issues. So wouldn't it be better to just let someone in Abu Dhabi just buy these paintings and put it on something more important, like, I don't know, helping refugees or something? So.
Are you suggesting even selling the paintings that are already in the Rijksmuseum?
I think you should consider it in the current atmosphere. No, I just want to know what justifies this, as this is taxpayers' money.
Okay,
there we go. You're asking me, and I'm a museum director.
Yes.
So, yes. No, but that's good to realize. So you ask me, do you think it's fair to spend 160 million for 2 old paintings? That's the question. Yeah, that's the question. So, and I think yes, of course, because otherwise I wouldn't have done it. And the reason why we do it is because we think these paintings, they belong in the public domain, which they are not at the moment. So they are now in the public domain forever. That means that in the long term, they will be seen by millions and millions and millions of visitors. Of course, we have to spend the money now. But it's not a matter of spending the money now, it's an investment in the future. And if you call these things an investment, then you have another state of mind than just thinking, okay, they're burning some money to paint these museum directors' hobbies and just hang the paintings and that's it. It's really a deep, sustainable investment for the future of the museum and also for the future of the Netherlands, the country, or the culture of the Netherlands, or the society of the Netherlands, whatever you might think. Great words, maybe, but still, I think that's my opinion. And at the same time, of course, 160 million is a lot of money, but it's nothing for climate control or climate change or for refugees or whatever. I mean, that problem won't be solved by 160.
Of course not. And maybe it was unfortunate that these pictures came up right after.
No,
but
that's fair enough.
Point,
that's for
yes,
a
it
reason.
was provocative, yes. But,
but
it's a big chunk of money that go to museums and cultural activities. So maybe that's the question. I mean, you can always say it has a value for future and its investment, but it's... in the long run, I mean, it's not about the paintings, right? It's
you got the answer. Next question, please. Over there. Oh, there. Sorry.
Hi, Chris Torch, Rijeka 2020. I would like to go at the same question, but not at all in the same way, but from another perspective, and that is the focus of the museum as objects. The intention, obviously, the money, the 160 million euros that went to those 2 paintings is not money that would have gone to something else. They came from something else. And I don't see any conflict necessarily between spending money on one kind of work and we should not be competing with some other kind of work. However, what I do find is that as you spoke about some very, very interesting educational opportunities, some very special audience and target groups of making accessibility, I think this beautiful statement of it's everybody's private collection. And at the same time focusing such a large the perspective of the citizens on such an investment, and I do believe it's an investment. Certainly it's an investment because the government can sell it in 30 years and get 250 million back again if they need to. No, I'm sure it's not. Even in that, but I would like to go back to this question of the museum as the maintenance of objects, and as if that was cultural heritage. Because I have to be sure. I mean, I have to say that one thing I'm absolutely not sure about is that these 2 paintings are going to save the Dutch culture. The Dutch culture is going to be saved by the people that live in Holland and the people that live in Holland in the future, and not necessarily even with Dutch backgrounds. And therefore, I would just this question between object and responsibility, and above all, co-creation, participation, which even a national museum has a certain demand on.
Okay.
But what is the question?
Do you see, or do you see inside yourself a conflict between the focus on objects, which we just took now as the example of these two paintings, but you have many, many objects, focus on objects, and the focus on the museum as a meeting place, as a place of encounter, and above all, of co-creation and participation?
Your answer will be answered I think, in the video that is coming up later on.
We have, because
and then we request the whole digital arena where we are very active in, and exactly that's the arena where we are very active in terms of co-creation, the whole creative industry who is looking at the Rijksmuseum, and I'm going to tell about that a bit later. Because I don't know.
Well, we've got 5 minutes, so I suggest that at least we have a look at it. Pascal, just a second, because then if we have shown this, then this answer is given. What is this Rijksstudio?
Rijksstudio is the most radical and first digital platform where we have about 250,000 works of our collection, high resolution, on the highest quality, free accessible for everybody in the world. On the web, no copyrights, no restriction, everything free, everything open, everything free. It's exactly what the museum wants to be, open for everyone. Rijksstudio is an enormous database, the largest in the world in this field, and you can look and play and you can share.
We can show a video. I hope this works. I think I have to do something here now. Just to give you an idea.
This little film is made for Rijksstudio Award to ask students or anybody to apply and to send in objects or products or whatever you want to make. And we do it now for 3 years. And from all over the world, students send in crazy solutions or objects or fashion or bowls or anything. And it's all based on the imagery that is distributed via Rijksstudio. Fashion. Yeah. So, and the good thing of Rijksstudio is not only the high quality or the free accessible element or the no cost aspect of it. What's so interesting and the first thing ever done on a museum collection is that you not only can choose and pick by Rembrandt or Renaissance or Middle Ages or Baroque or oil painting, you can also choose on moustache or red or Amsterdam or any word you can think of here. So you have an enormous search engine behind all these 250,000 works, and every year growing by another 30,000, and you can make new combinations and new selections, and it totally does exactly what I want with a museum. It appeals to what we call ownership. You can own this collection the way you want it. You can select it, you can make your own hierarchy, you can make your own personal Rijksstudio. Over 260,000 Rijksstudios are already made, so it's a great success. And it's fun. It's also fun.
Great. I give space for the last question, because otherwise we'll run out of time. Pascal.
Yeah.
Please stand up.
I'm Pascal Inhart, the Flemish Art Collection. I would come back on the previous slide.
This one?
Yes, for instance, this one. I really do agree that museums can't solve any problem in the world, but when you bought those two paintings, some years ago it was a great issue in Holland, and even outside of Holland, the closing of some national museums. With buying a painting for 80 million euros, the Dutch government could kept open those museums for 10 or 20 or even 30 years. So I suppose not everyone in the museum sector in Holland is welcoming the buying of these paintings. Then I have a suggestion, annex to your suggestion on the indemnity scheme for Europe. I think the European Commission could also help us to clear the black hole on contemporary art and help us pay, or in which way, I don't care, the copyright issues for museums.
Okay. Don't buy art that has no copyright anymore, but use the money to solve the copyright problem. Is that a good? Okay. What's your reaction to that?
First on that copyright, I think that has to do with this open aspect of what a museum is. I think that any artwork in a public collection belongs to society. Yeah? And we have the obligation to take care of these precious artworks because they are part of national heritage as soon as they enter the collection of, let's say, the Rijksmuseum. And therefore, I think, and that costs money, of course, we take care, we restore, we make exhibitions of it, so we feel responsible for our collection, including contemporary artists. And I think it's a great thing that also contemporary artists are taken in public collections. And at the same time, I think that to share this public collection in the museum, in the brick and mortar buildings, but also on the web, is a good thing. Because what I said earlier, that the collection is everybody's private collection, is to me a necessity. If you really want to share it, you have to do it to the max. And that means...
You can't do this with contemporary art. If there's copyright on it.
We're pushing the boundaries. We really do it. For another reason. Because everybody's going, well, if
what do you mean?
If a
pushing the boundaries?
If a painting hangs in the galleries, everybody can make a photograph of it. And photographs, these cell phones and so, they get better and better and better. So if you, for instance, take a picture of Picasso, there are dozens and dozens of Picasso already on the web. So it's really a lost battle. This whole copyright thing, it's a lost battle. Maybe not now, but within 10 years, it's a lost battle. So what happened in the music industry, that will happen in the world of the visual arts as well. So we took a step ahead and we said that whole copyright thing, it's over. Forget it. You can't protect it anymore. So in the case, I'm responsible for a public collection, and I really think that it is a good thing to share the collection on the web. And I'm not sharing the artwork, I'm sharing the image of the artwork. And that is, of course, always something completely different than the real thing. And I think, and we haven't been talking about that, I think that it's good to have as much as imagery of our collection in the public domain. On t-shirts, on cars, on advertisements, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm sure that the audience will see the authentic, real object. And I think, talking about the future of the museum, there lies the future of the museum. The authenticity, the real one-to-one sensation of standing in front of an artwork that's unbeatable. And the better you do that, the more valuable will the museum visit be. So I don't care of having all these imagery in the world on screens. There will be more screens, and there will be more screens in the future, and they will be spread over all the time. I'm fine with that. It will bring only more visitors to the museum at the end of the day, if you do it well.
Thank you very much. I think not everybody agrees maybe on spending 160 million on 2 paintings, but this statement was well received. I will end with the last question. We are having now almost a tradition. For last year, Martin Roth was here, who I actually called Philip Roth. And he isn't even family. Now you're here. So what would you suggest would be the one invited for next year?
Well, after Martin and myself, I think it's time to have a lady. That's for sure.
Why?
Why? Because
is that an opinion you're giving us?
Because if it won't be a lady, there will be another man, and I think it's
logical.
also fun for you to have somebody else here sitting. But let me.
No,
think.
but why are you saying that? I mean, just for the case of.
Well, to have the gender balance a bit in order.
Is it okay, the gender balance? I mean, not only in this program, but in general.
It's getting better. Well, looking in the auditorium, I mean, here it's
okay. Yeah.
No, I think all the ladies in the house stand up.
It's
and
unbalanced.
No,
Too many
I think there are more ladies here, but I mean, if this conversation is exclusively for museum directors.
Yeah.
Then I must say that I think there are still more men than women in my profession. But well, okay, if you like it or not. But I think there are. Yeah, I mean, you have to choose one. So, and you need a name.
We want a name. Yes, we want a name. What do you think?
I have one in my mind, but maybe there is a suggestion from the. Sorry? And Pasternak.
Brooklyn. We're going international.
Another American.
It's American.
And in Europe. What about Europe?
What about Europe? One of the new Italian directors. Yeah.
But most of them are men, don't they?
Yeah. No.
The feel.
Okay.
Italy has some.
Don't hide anymore. Give us a name.
Gabriele in Venezia. She could be Gabriele Belli.
Yeah.
Could be very nice. Could be good.
But what was in your mind?
In my mind was Agnes Hoeslein from the Belvedere.
Thank you very much for this conversation, Wim. Thank you very much.